Good evening, Fernwood. My name is Neil, and thank you for taking the trip with me through the entire series of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. We are heading into episode 62 of the series, March 30th, 1976. And before I do my recap, I thought I'd show you a little tidbit that I just got, which is a copy of the Mary Hartman board game. The essence of this episode, you move around like Clue, but you're also trying to move other characters so that you can recreate 2 episodes of the series. And there's some pretty tasty little flavor on those cards. If you've watched the show at all, well, I certainly was amused by the episode design of the cards as they were in the game. Well, it's a game from the 1970s, so it's not high board game technology, but it is a lot of fun, at least for me to have on my shelf. And I probably will never play it or have friends who would want to play it, but that's just how it goes. That's what I got. Again, we're heading into March 30th, 1976. It's a Tuesday, so we may see some things that we haven't seen for a little while, but in the meantime, here's some stuff that we did definitely see. Tom told Mary that he was okay with working with Mona Mackenzie, and after hearing that, Mary got just a little bit curious about exactly how Mona Mackenzie will be helping Tom and what a surrogate does. She now has read the dictionary enough to know what surrogate means, and it makes her just a little bit curious, and that's the question that she asked at the end of the last episode. Aside from that, Kathy also told Mary that she was okay with Dennis still not exactly being totally interested in Kathy. I'm not sure that that's truthful, but that's where she stands. And then there is what Loretta heard from Charlie and from Muriel. They have very differing stories about the scarring that Muriel received over a decade ago, and which Muriel will definitely not be letting go of, because she's just dastardly that way. So that is the recap that sets us up for the March 30th, 1976 episode. Let us just begin. I found a glitch in the system.
Mary, you sounded so upset on the telephone. I broke an appointment to come right over.
You broke an appointment?
Yes, with another client.
It wasn't with someone else's husband, was it?
Oh, I never discuss my other clients.
Mona,
Yes.
Tom said that he will cooperate with you fully.
Yes. We made a lot of progress last night, Mary. What is it, Mary? What's the trouble?
Mona, I looked up the word surrogate in the dictionary, and it said one who, or that which, is substituted for another.
That's right.
What are you gonna do with my husband? I mean, just exactly who are you going to surrogate for?
This is a question I've been waiting for weeks.
It's not like I'm not glad we started. Do you really think you're going to be able to help?
Well, let me put it this way, Mary. When Dr. Jurgensen, that's my psychologist friend, when he and I were just going together, he asked me to help out with a patient of his, a patient with a sex problem. Well, we saw how well it worked out. I started seeing other patients of his, and then other patients of other psychologists. And that's when they decided to form the Lackawanna Institute for Sexual Behavior. Well, that was 4 years ago, and I guess the rest is history, at least in sex therapy circles. And now there are 6 of us therapists. And I guess because I have been there since the very beginning, I've handled about 51% of the cases. And I could tell you, Mary Hartman, that my record of success is just about 100%.
Isn't that perfect?
Well, wait a minute. I have to admit there was one case. From the day he came to me, he didn't think he had an emotional problem about sex. He thought it was an old war wound. Well, I'd heard all about that. Guns and sabers, falling off of horses.
I've heard that
Where are they?
sometimes not falling off is even worse. Maybe that was in reference to something else, though.
Well, I thought it was an emotional thing, and so did the consulting psychologist. Well, I worked with this man for about 2 years, which is a long time, therapeutically speaking. Anyway, one day he went in the hospital for an operation, a gallbladder operation. And you know that they found a bullet resting right next to a nerve in his groin. Can you imagine? He didn't even know it was there. So it was an old war wound after all.
Did he report it?
Report it? Why?
Well, he might have been able to get his Purple Heart. You know, bullet hitting that particular nerve in that particular area should not go without its due reward, I think.
Well, that was the only patient I ever lost. But at least I lost him to World War II.
Well, you may have lost the battle, but we did win that war.
Right. One out of countless cases. It's not a bad record, is it?
No, it's practically perfect. Mona, when you work with your cases, does it ever go beyond talking?
Yes. Sometimes I have to have the patient perform without anxiety.
How does he perform? I mean, what does he... Where are you when he performs?
Oh, I'm right there.
Oh, you're there. You are right there. Are you performing with him? I mean, is it a duet?
Well, sometimes it has to be. I mean, that's the only way he can learn to perform, by getting into the ring, so to speak.
Oh, in the ring. Now, do you ever stand in the corner of the ring, like with a towel and a sponge, so to speak? Or do you have to be right there in the center of the ring with him?
Yeah, well, it works out that way sometimes.
When we say center of the ring, we are talking about the same thing, aren't we?
You are using it as a euphemism for bed, aren't you?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know what euphemism means. What does that mean?
Oh, it's sort of cleaning it up a little.
Oh. No, I had hoped that we were talking about something else. Could I make a suggestion when you're working with Tom?
Of course. What?
I'd rather you didn't use a bed. Go near it or even make reference to the bedroom. I mean, as a matter of fact, like if you were in a living room, could you just avoid the couch, avoid it, stay away from the stuffed armchairs, and maybe even ignore the little footstools, you know? They're small but dangerous. And definitely stay off of the floor, you know? Better yet, let me ask you a question. Could you work standing up? You know, like maybe
Sometimes that's
11
fun.
feet apart. Say 11's always been my lucky number. Watch it. Like say like you're here, okay? You're over here, and say he's here. Could you work that way?
Well, Mary, every situation is different. Sometimes we can just by talking about all the problems. I mean, just having someone to talk to. Sometimes we are able, without hardly touching or even shaking hands.
No, shaking hands is fine. I'm quite open about this. You may shake hands. I'd like to watch, though. You see, maybe then we can get it out of the bed and back into the center of the ring where it belongs. You know, a little handshaking, some good talk, and then just a nice, clean, technical success.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, she set down a pretty clear barrier there.
Mary, pour me some coffee. Okay, here. Now you drink this and tell me what's wrong. Okay.
Mary, it is just terrible.
The coffee?
No, the coffee's fine. It's very good, as a matter of fact.
Oh, good, because it's something new. I mean, these are Max Packs pre-measured filters. It's a new thing, and it's Oh, that is good, even reheated. So what's so terrible?
Mary, it is poor, sweet, sad Muriel. I mean, it is just so heartbreaking. I mean, you know what Charlie's done to her all those years back and everything. And the sad thing of it is that he don't even acknowledge, that he's done it. I mean, she don't bear him no grudge or nothing, But he belittles the damage he done to her, Mary.
What damage?
The scar.
What scar?
On her face.
On her face?
Except, see, she covers it up by this giant spit curl.
Really? A spit curl? How did she get it?
Well, probably. I would imagine that she just got a great big gob of dippity-doo, and just put plaster.
I mean, a scar.
Oh, well, I was getting to that part. See, the scar was accidentally got on her face when Charlie throwed this pan of grease on her during an untimely robbery, see, in this diner that the two of them had. Leastwise, that's Charlie's, side of the story. Now, Muriel says, that wasn't the way it happened at all, that it happened during the middle of an argument that the two of them had. Well, it's just sad, Mary. It's just the most heartbreaking thing because, it's not like she's asking for help or anything, but the woman needs a friend. She just doesn't have one soul in the whole wide world to turn to. Now, to tell you how torn up I am about this, I personally would want to use this, wouldn't I now? It's the perfect setting for a good old country ballad, am I right?
I could see that. You mean like, ballad of a scar covered up by hair?
No. But, Mary, I cannot put two slightly diminished chords together. Not even two. That's tore up, Mary.
Well, Loretta, thank God. I am just so grateful you're here.
Thank God. What? Mary, what are you grateful?
No, what I mean is that, you see, it's just much easier for one person to talk to another person about their problems than it would be if we had to sit here, and talk about my problems,
What problems?
Oh, nothing, to speak of. I don't want to talk about it. Anything.
Mary, are you having some kind of problem with that there Mona sexual therapist woman?
No, I'm sorry I even mentioned it. It's nothing like that. I am really here to hear about you and Muriel and Charlotte.
Oh,
Those
no.
problems. That's it.
No, Mary, I want to hear about Tom and Mona. I want to hear
Don't be silly. I am here to hear about your problems.
No, Mary, I want to hear about your problems.
Loretta, whose kitchen is this anyway? Who came over to whose kitchen to talk about whose problems?
Well, I came over and it's your kitchen. What was the last question? Oh, all right. Oh, you're right. I admit, Mary, I came over to do the inverting. Okay. All right. I'll tell you.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we got that straightened out now. So now can we get back to the subject? Okay?
All right.
I've been wanting to talk to you about Muriel because I've just had some of my own feelings about her, too. And I know that Charlie's not that comfortable with her around, and I can understand.
Really, Mary? You mean because he's his first wife and everything?
No.
Muriel's his first wife?
Yeah.
But, Mary, what does that mean?
No, that's not what I mean. That's not what... Although, that is a very awkward situation with two wives that come, but that wasn't what I meant. I know why he is uncomfortable with Muriel. I don't know exactly why, but I find myself very suspicious of that woman.
Why?
Not quite sure. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's true. She's deceitful. She's sneaky. She's insincere. She's a lying troublemaker. Somehow I just can't put my finger on it, I don't know what it is. It's like everything about her. It's like a performance. It's like a big show. It's like an act. Now it's true I don't really know her well or anything like that. But I am sure that she is sneaky, that she's deceitful, that she's a liar. Jeez, I wish I could put my finger on it.
Mary Hartman, I am really stunned at you. Now usually you have such insight into people. I can't even believe it. And most of the time, you zero right in on it. But Mary, poor sweet Muriel.
I'll tell you the truth, Loretta. I'm not even convinced that there's really a scar there.
Well, now that's a thought, because to tell you the honest to God's truth, I have never personally with my own eyes seen it.
Uh-huh.
Because, you know, I mean, the way your hair's wrapped halfway around your neck, how could you see it?
Yeah.
But then, on the other hand, Mary, why would anyone wear their hair that way if they didn't want to hide something?
Let me ask you a question. What did Charlie tell you about that scar?
Well, he said he was in the diner, he had this big pot of grease. See, the robber comes in, he says, stick him
Carol
up.
Burnett Show, Tim Conway robber, Harvey Korman, Charlie.
I know it. I seen it too, Mary. I said that to Charlie. He said, nope. He said, this is real. Isn't it funny how life imitates the Carol Burnett Show? Except the only thing different is that Charlie never did become a big Ziegfeld Folly star.
Loretta, what about the scar?
Well, he never saw it. I mean, Muriel and Charlie, that is. I mean, even when she was in the hospital, he didn't see it. But Charlie swears to Pete that she never could have been scarred that severely because just a teensy little bit of grease got on her face. I mean, it was impossible. See what I mean about him belittling the damage that he done to her?
Now, Muriel told you that he was responsible for that scar because of some awful fight.
It's put me in such a predicament and dilemma, Mary. I mean, I can't imagine Charlie throwing a pan of hot grease on anybody. It just didn't.
No, not Charlie. Not hot grease.
On the other hand, I'm telling you that Muriel is so sincere. I just wish I knew what the truth of it was.
Well, I guess the scar is at the bottom of all of this.
If I could just get a close look at that scar.
Oh, Loretta.
Well, I could see the truth of it if I could get a close look, you know. Oh, I know it's just terrible, but, oh, it's just tearing me apart, Mary.
I know that. Listen, I want to help you too, but I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Go up and tear the hair off her face? I mean, it looks like it's glued there anyway. You want to know something?
What?
Come to think of it, when I was at your house the day I met her, I thought I kept smelling Elmer's
Elmer's.
glue.
Well, anyway, look, Mary, if I could just get a close look at that scar, then I would know the truth, you know? I mean, she takes a nap every afternoon. If we could just take a little sneaky peek up there and check that scar out, I would know the truth. I hate to do it. I know it's an awful thing to do, but Mary, I've got to get to the bottom of this. I've got to know the truth.
Oh, you poor Loretta.
I've just got to know the truth.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing how Elmer's glue is good for so many things.
I tell you, Tom, she's out to break up my marriage. She told me, she said she's going to ruin Loretta and me. And Loretta's such a trusting person that she can't see through Muriel. Loretta and me have already had a disagreement about it. We don't have disagreements ever. Well, no, never. I tell you, it's just like Muriel knows just exactly what she's doing.
Hey, Charlie, look at me for a minute, will you? Now, you and Loretta are solid. Now, you know that. I mean, nothing can pry you two guys apart. So don't worry about it, okay? Stop worrying about it. Look at the bright side of things. Look how great things are going for you and Loretta. Look at it.
You don't know Muriel.
Oh, boy.
Just makes it worse that things are going good. Did I tell you about the money?
What money?
Clyde. You remember Clyde, the engineer, the guy that made the demo record?
Yeah.
His brother is the guy that turned it into a single.
Uh-huh.
Clyde called and he said that there was a check in the U.S. mail headed for Loretta and me right now.
That's terrific news. That's great.
Every time I go to turn on the radio, practically, I hear Loretta's tune. I hear her singing away. Just makes it worse. She keeps reminding me of her always.
Hey, Charlie, you two guys are gonna be okay.
You know, it's going to be a big hit. It's really going to be a big hit. It's going to be a chart buster.
Baby boy, sweet Charlie, you're my oh baby boy. Well, you're my life and you're my joy. You're my precious bedtime toy. Sweet Charlie, you're my oh baby boy. And later on that night you asked me, would it be alright if you took me for a bite to the tasty freeze?
Yeah. The worst thing, well, it's not the worst thing, but it's just as bad as it spoiled me. Spoiled me. I can't bear to hear anything else now that I keep hearing Loretta.
Charlie,
It just spoiled any other kind of music for me. Loretta's is the only kind of music there is.
hey, things are rolling for you two guys right now, aren't they? Even with your ex being there. She's not gonna stay that long, is she?
Would it be unchristian if I told you I wish she'd gone yesterday? She's going to stay just as long as she wants to. She's going to stay till she accomplishes what she set out to do.
And what's that?
Ruin my life.
Oh, come on, she's not gonna ruin your life. Hey, look on the bright side, will you? At least you got your job back.
The work is just as dull as ever.
Yeah, I gotta admit that. It's dull as hell. But that's why I'm running for union office. I'm gonna change that. What do you mean, huh?
You got the race to look forward to. That's all you got is the race. Because if you want my honest opinion, Tom, you don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of getting elected.
Oh, is that so? Well, a lot of the guys around here are beginning to look my way, pal. That's right. They
Now,
are.
what does Mary think about it? How does she feel about you running for the union?
She feels fine about it.
Don't you two still have a problem?
We're working on it, Charlie. We are working on our problems.
But if you get elected to the union, you're going to have even less time to spend at home with her.
Well, that's true, but I gotta do it, Charlie, because I gotta work for change. Right here in this factory, I'm working for change.
If you get elected.
What do you mean, if I get elected?
You probably won't.
I don't believe you today. You're as gloomy as I've ever seen. I've never seen you so down mouthed. Hey, look, your wife's song is practically busting through the charts. It's on every damn radio station in the country, and look at you. Turn the radio on. Go ahead, I dare you.
We just heard it.
Turn it on.
We just heard it.
I
It's
know you just heard it. I'll bet you a buck. 10 to 1 odds. That you pick the station, and I bet it's on that station. Go ahead.
10 to 1?
Well, even money.
A buck.
A buck.
I picked the station.
You pick.
Baby boy, baby boy,
Come on, pay up.
sweet Charlie, you're my oh baby boy. Well, you're my life.
That's a lot of play.
You just got lucky.
All right, I just got lucky. Want to go again? I'll bet you $10. Pick the station. I'll bet you $10.
$10?
$10. Song's on that station. Go ahead, pick it. The odds are about 100 to 1 that you're going to win. Go ahead, but pick. Go ahead.
Well, you're my life and you're my joy. You're my precious
Give me my
bedtime toy.
$10.
Sweet Charlie, you're my big old baby boy.
I love it.
How about the all-news station? Same bet?
Well, it's Tuesday, so maybe just an inch forward here, an inch forward there. We've got Mary finally figuring out exactly what a surrogate does, and of course, that's not what she signed up for. And if you asked me, I don't think that Tom needs a surrogate. He, at least as unclear as I am on Tom and Mary's in-bed life, it's not really erectile dysfunction that is currently the issue. Like, I think that was an issue a while back. It was never really named, but I think that Mary was looking for, when she found Mona, she was looking for a way to make Tom better in bed. which maybe you still do need a surrogate for that, or someone to like give you lessons, but or maybe you need to communicate with your lover and say, hey, I this is what I like and this is what I don't like. And maybe I don't think Mary even knows what she likes or doesn't like. So there's a big conversation that currently is not happening. And then with Loretta and Charlie, it's sad to see their relationship just continue to splinter apart just a bit. Both of them have their opinions, and that's kind of, I don't think that's moved very much, but we just get to hear them again. And then we get to hear about Tom and the Union. So not a lot of action this episode in terms of forward movement. But I gotta say, I did hear just yesterday and today, two different friends let me know on the book that Emily Hampshire of Schitt's Creek has been booked to star in the remake of Mary Hartman, and that's like, what is going on? I don't know how they're thinking of producing it. I loved the One Day at a Time remake that they launched a few years back, as many times as that show has already been canceled, but it's such a wonderful show. And I wonder exactly how to update 1970s Mary Hartman to 2020. Like, that show is almost as old as me, and there are a lot of times when I watch the old show and I think, wow, we're still talking about that stuff today. So I think they could update it pretty readily, actually, although we're in a different market. Soap operas, I think they still exist on the soap opera network, and but television viewers are quite different now than they were then. So I wonder exactly how you move this forward. I'm sure that the writer's room has ideas about how to do that. I'm excited as all get out. But I'm hoping that it's about a year away, because it's going to take me that long to get through the original series. And not to mention Fernwood Tonight. There is our March 30th, 1976 episode of Mary Hartman. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.